Hello, friends. Yes, we are in tough times, but we can look at it as though we are having greatness thrust upon us. We are having greatness thrust upon us because we find ourselves in the midst of a national collapse, and one that will harm the world economies and harm many things in the world, because America was such a strong ally of freedom. So we have greatness thrust upon us because we are tasked with rising from the ashes of the old and charting the course for a brighter future tomorrow. See, just yesterday or last week, we were just sitting watching videos on the YouTube and just, singing along, and here we are catapulted into an era of political reform and restructuring like we have never seen before. And I said, I advocate for everyone to remain calm. I know I don't have that big of an audience, and I know there are many people that are just gone wild. So regardless of whether we think the Capitol was real Trump supporters or, Antifa, there are some people that are just going to go wild because, the government has just freaked them out, scared them. They've been spooked. And so, I rather anticipate trouble coming. I am way out in the country, so I have more time to think. I'm not in the center of the trouble. So, once again, I will reiterate, failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. And part of our problems are that we are facing challenges, like I said, with our system of government that was not thought of in the days of the founding fathers. Back then, things were pretty simple. Although one thing, they were very trusting that the representatives were going to be good people. There's the problem. They weren't expecting the representatives to be corrupted. But I guess at that time in history, there weren't other examples of these representative governments for them to go on. But essentially what has happened to us is our representatives have made coalitions with each other, and they're essentially oligarchs. They've become our masters instead of us being their masters. And that is a serious problem. We need complete restructuring. We need the people involved. Over the centuries, the last 2 centuries, obviously, there has been, like you said, these politicians have introduced, these socialist programs that have been anti-freedom. They should have been encouraging people to be more free instead of trying to take away their freedoms. So there's been a great many mistakes, willing or by omission, by many people over the years, and we can see that. Only it just took a long time for things to really fall apart like they have now, where the politicians have essentially seized power as a ruling body of kings, despots, what you would call them. So we need to redefine what it is, what a representative is. We need to redefine how they are selected. And our system is so full of bureaucracy. It's so top-heavy with regulations, and it's just, the system is not serving the people. The system is serving the government. It's serving the few. And I'm sure the founding fathers did not have an inkling that this was going to happen. I mean, you can't know everything. But I've noticed, in the midst of all this misery and tragedy this week, I have noticed that Nigel Farage is doing his Reform UK party. I'm like, that sounds good. It sounds like what we need. How does a Reform USA sound? I think it sounds pretty good. And we do face any parties face significant opposition because the left would brand them as hate groups and ban them. So that's why we essentially need something different in our political system, because, even the UK seems to have a reasonably honest system. I said I don't know for sure everything, but reasonably honest system. It seems like they have different parties that come and go, so their system has not been seized by the oligarchs, even though it has significant problems. So, I really respect Nigel for starting a reform party, but I think he really needs to stay the course this time. He needs to stay the leader of the party. Please, Mr. Farage, don't hand it off to Theresa May. Don't hand it to David Cameron. Don't hand it to Boris Johnson. Please lead the party yourself. And the other guy, Gerard Batten, don't hand the leadership reins, because all that happens is they drop the ball and you have to come back and pick up the pieces. So none of that. And so we need like a reform party. And right now, Washington is just berserk with power-mad oligarchs. But at some point, things will settle down, and then, like I said, the Republicans are gone. They're done. They're history. They went the way of the Whigs. We don't know what the new single party will call themselves, but we need a reform party. I said basically all we needed was to prevent a day like this was a few stout-hearted people who would just look at the left and say no. A few social reformers who would just say, no, you're not going to bring this alcohol into our town, or no, you're not going to put this porn in my school, or something. Just some people with some guts. We watched all these companies just collapse. So, poof. They deserve their downfall. So yes, I'm excited about the idea of a reform party, and we're going to have to get this situation back. Yeah, the so-called cheating system, it just cannot stand, because the country cannot move forward under these conditions. Under election conditions that the country does not believe in, it cannot move forward. There will only be conflict. So we don't know how that's going to be fixed, but it'll have to be coming up. I said we need to change our tactics. Right now, the left is expecting us to do certain things. And, they're expecting us to, just start keep on using all of our regular Trump, all the Trump talk and everything. They are expecting that, because then they're going to find us and bam, 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 bam. So, what we need to do is we're going to need to shift our tactics a little bit. Focus on social reform, focus on moral reform, Christian reform, things like that. So, basically, we need to come at an angle for some way they won't expect. Like, for instance, we're against these terrible politicians, but say we'll be against rich people, and we'll say, okay, we're against the politicians because they're rich. So we want to oust them because they're rich. But technically, we want to oust them because they're corrupt. But we can, change the language, be like them, be sneaky. We mustn't be just have a strategy. Don't just do everything they think you should do. And I said we need to focus on innovation, self-reliance, building culture, building education. We need to stop relying so much on this socialist system that they have prepared for us, because that is what is bringing us down. We're dependent on this system, and that's what's got to stop, because that's our problem. All right. And I'm saying we need a cool, calm, and collected plan. We can't just charge ahead and smash everything, because after all, we need to think of the future, because we have a future. There is a country, and there are children, and there are people that will continue after we are gone. So we need to think of them also while we are trying to reform the country, and we mustn't ruin everything. Here's the thing. Let's say we have a rotten building. It's pretty rotten, and it's ready. Everything needs replaced, and we'd like to knock it down, but there's still let's say there's a bunch of homeless people living in it. So, like, instead of knocking it down, we're going to try to, rebuild from the bottom, and, as we strengthen, put in beams, put in different, what's the word? Braces. We're going to then slowly remove the rotten wood and replace it with new wood. But we need to keep the building from falling down and, killing all the homeless people, okay? So basically, I said reform is a ticklish business. It's delicate. It's delicate because I said we need to, bring back a better culture. Like I said, the left has had their way. They've trashed every cultural institution, filled them with lying propaganda mouthpieces, and they're nothing. They're shells. We need to fix. We need to, build new. We need to replace the old, but we can't replace all the old. We don't want the structure to collapse. Like I said, we need the structure of the American businesses. We need some healthcare system to function. We need things to function. We can't just have it collapse and everybody be in a dirt pile. We can't do that. So we need our system to function, but we need to slowly replace the rotten wood with with cement, with new wood, with whatever we need to build a strong nation. And a reform party seems to be just the ticket. All right, everyone. Stay calm, be safe. God bless, and let freedom ring.